right, so I have been a fan of this show since it first came out, and I am very excited to host in the studios today, just for you, from Stranger Things, Cary Elwes. Let's talk about this new season. I am so excited.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Let's talk about your character, because there's a little bit of, I don't want to say a bad side, but kind of a selfish, very like it's all about me, sort of not really worried about you.
Yeah.
Really wants to make this big event happen for 4th of July.
Right.
Talk to me about that feeling that he has.
Yeah, well, this is the first time we meet the mayor of Hawkins, and he's a rather self-centered, kind of a sleazy politician, and he's more focused on creating the biggest 4th of July bash for Hawkins than helping Hopper with any of the issues that he has. So it's a fun character to play.
What would you say in playing this character has been the biggest challenge for you? Is how alike are you two?
Well, I don't think I'm sleazy, but you'd have to ask other people. I like the idea of playing someone outside of myself. You know, I watch a lot of television myself. I watch a lot of news, and I kind of picked a bunch of characters from watching CNN, a bunch of politicians, and I kind of melded them together and created Mayor Kline out of that. Yeah.
That has to be such a fun challenge to be able to have the power and the autonomy as an actor to be able to mold and create this character to what you define as sleazy, to what you define as strong, to what you define as some humane characteristics that he's got to have. What would you say is the most challenging part of working with the rest of the team, because there's so many different components to the show. There's the characters that you're working with, the kids. There's the other people that are already sort of familiar with the show, and here you come, a very powerful role within the season, within the opening of this next season. What was that like, getting into the set, getting into the team? What was that like?
Well, the great news is that the Duffers and all the cast and crew made me feel very welcome, because I was a little intimidated, of course. The show is a massive show.
It's amazing.
And I was a fan as well. So there was I'm been in the business a long time, but I still get excited about getting an offer for a big show. And so I was a little intimidated, but they all made me feel very, very welcome. And, I work very closely with the directors that I work with in creating the character that they want me to create. And so I have a great relationship with them. And they, like I said, they made me feel very welcome.
That's got to be so much fun to come onto a set like that with so many different characters and so many different age groups, because I feel like one of the things that's most attractive about this show, at least for me, is the fact that you can see these incredible kids, because they started off as kids, acting phenomenally. They are, they're such a big part of the show. And then you have these amazing adult actors, which is what we're used to seeing. And the way that it all combines, the way that it all comes together, that's definitely a different dynamic, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, these kids are, they're so professional. I mean, Millie is unusual in that she's just a natural talent. A lot of the other kids in the show were Broadway trained. And so, when I first went to watch them work, I was so impressed by how professional they were, because I remember thinking, gosh, when I was 12, 15, whatever, I had no sense of focus at all. And these guys are incredibly focused, and I was really impressed by that. And they're just lovely people. And I think that's the other thing. There's a reason why the Duffers cast all these folks in the show, is that they want to make sure that they cast folks that they want to spend a lot of time with and feel comfortable with. And so there's no ego on the set. There's none of that. It's just everybody getting down to doing their job,
That's got to be fun, though.
Yeah, it is.
Because
a lot of
I've
fun.
interviewed quite a few celebrities in here that are part of different series and different movies.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever heard the sentence, "there is no ego on the set."
Really?
I'm
rare.
like 99.9% sure that sentence has never been said into any of my microphones ever.
It's
wonderful.
It's refreshing. It is. You're right. It is rare. There's usually, somebody who thinks they're more important than everybody else, and and I think that kind of atmosphere is conducive to creativity, both in front and behind the camera.
And what else can we expect from this season? Because the one magic the aspect of this show is that even though the storyline of it is kind of the same, you know sort of what to expect.
Sure.
It catches you off guard every time.
Time.
And again, every season you're like, wait, where did they even come up with this stuff? What can we expect from this season?
Well, that's the genius of the Duffers, is that they keep outdoing themselves every season. You know, just when you think, oh my gosh, how can they top that? And they manage to do it. And, you know, I think it's because they're so adept at being able to create characters that you're so emotionally involved with, that when something terrifying happens action-wise, you really care about how that affects the characters because you're emotionally invested in them. And that's the talent that they have. Because it's one thing just to do an action, thriller, or horror thing, but if you don't care about the characters deeply, it means nothing. And so they have an enormous talent in that department.
So we want to make sure that we check out Stranger Things 3, and that's coming out July 4th. Is that right?
That's right.
And it's perfect timing because that's exactly when the first episode takes place, is on July 4th. Is that right? And your character is going to be all up in there causing havoc. And I can't wait to see how it's going to go down. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys check out Stranger Things 3, July 4th, and leave on the comments what you are expecting to see this season and what your favorite things are about the show. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, GiGi.